The movie opens with a flashback of Vladimir Putin in a hospital, receiving urgent medical treatment. But before revealing what leads him there, the scene transitions back to 1960 in the heart of the Soviet Union, where the story truly begins. A woman sits at a dining table with her family while a young boy, Vova, lies under the table at her feet. Without much explanation, she takes Vova to a train station, leaving him alone on a departing train, despite his desperate attempts to stay with her. Fast forward to 1996, inside the Kremlin. Boris Yeltsin is president, and a man congratulates Putin on his new position in the presidential administration. Putin is then led to Yeltsin's room, only to find the president lying on the floor. The man explains that Yeltsin has been struggling lately and asks Putin to help him to the bathroom. As Putin waits in the room, his eyes wander to the presidential chair. He hesitates for a moment, then takes a seat. As he sits down, a boy named Samuel appears beside him and whispers that the chair will one day be his. The words barely sink in before he quickly stands up as Yeltsin returns. The story then moves back to 1961 in Leningrad. Young Vova walks with his mother, who introduces him to a group of children, telling them that he is special and must be treated well. As she leaves, Vova notices the children standing in a line. Curious, he asks why, but no one answers. A girl tells him that holding vodka in their mouths makes it absorb faster. Before he can react, a boy named Samuel demands that Vova buy him another drink. When Vova refuses, a fight breaks out. Afterward, Samuel leans in and speaks to Vova, repeating a phrase about the strength of standing tall rather than living in submission. Back in 1996, Putin presented Yeltsin with a plan to eliminate Joker Dudayev. He explains that Russian fighter jets can track the Chechen leader's phone signal and strike when he makes a call. But there's a problem. They need Dudayev's encryption codes. Putin casually remarks that someone else has them, Bill Clinton. As he speaks, a faint whisper from Samuel reaches his ear. In that moment, it becomes clear. Samuel has always been there, an unseen presence only he can perceive. The story then moves to March 13, 1996. At the Cairo International Anti-Terrorism Forum, President Yeltsin shook hands with Bill Clinton. A month later, the First Chechen War escalates, and when Dudayev makes a call, his fate is sealed. Meanwhile, Yeltsin, oblivious to the unfolding events, is busy partying. Putin arrives with urgent news. General Lev Roshlin has turned the army against him, and soon, power will slip from Yeltsin's party. However, Putin presents a solution. He calmly tells Yeltsin that within moments, Roshlin will be shot dead by his wife. In return for this favor, Putin wanted something from Yeltsin. Putin set his sights on becoming the director of the Federal Security Service, demanding the position in exchange for his loyalty. Once in power, he moves swiftly. At his very first briefing, he delivers a chilling directive: disregard all other operations. The sole priority is to monitor Boris Yeltsin. Meanwhile, the story shifts back to 1988, 2 years after the Chernobyl catastrophe. Amid the desolate, radiation-ridden ruins, Samuel encounters an enigmatic woman who unexpectedly recognizes his presence. She greets him in what she calls the most forsaken corner of the earth and introduces herself as Legion. She then reveals that several high-profile Soviet fugitives have sought refuge there, including a former military scientist, Ivan Petrov, who possesses valuable knowledge about cesium. However, the story soon shifts forward to 1989, where the setting moves to the KGB headquarters in Dresden as the Berlin Wall crumbles. Putin, tense and unsettled, struggles to contain his frustration. Samuel, however, urges him to take decisive action, advising him to recover classified KGB documents before they can fall into foreign hands. Seeking help, Putin contacts Moscow, only to be met with silence. No reinforcements will come. Realizing he must act alone, Samuel directs him to escape using a Mercedes connected to a Wahhabi ally. At this moment, a brief flashback emerges, revealing Samuel's tragic fate. Wounded while attempting to escape with Vova and another child, he refuses to run, instead urging them to flee while he faces the oncoming soldiers. Another memory surfaces, this time of a priest delivering a sermon on faith, proclaiming that life without God is empty. As Samuel listens to a group of children, an elderly man approaches him. Acknowledging his suffering, the old man insists that Samuel must now guide others away from the darkness. He then introduces Samuel to a group of young boys practicing karate. Among them stands a determined young Vova, whom Samuel encourages to strike with greater force. Back in 1990, News reports announce mass protests in Moscow. Putin loses his position, leaving him contemplating his future. He sarcastically remarks that he might as well become a cab driver. As he drives through the city, Samuel's voice whispers to him, daring him to run a red light. What starts as a simple challenge turns into a heated argument, and soon, they are physically fighting inside the car. Later, Putin attends the mayor's 54th birthday party, bringing a gift. But instead of gratitude, the mayor laughs at his worn-out shoes, and the guests join in the mockery. Putin stays calm, then signals toward the entrance. Moments later, workers roll in stacks of toilet paper, his real gift. The message is clear. Russia is in crisis, and no amount of arrogance can hide it. Putin sits with Yeltsin. He boldly claims that he can achieve what others think is impossible. Amused, Yeltsin replies that he needs someone who can perform miracles. Soon after, a powerful decision is made. A permit is signed under threat, followed by an execution. Putin and Yeltsin clink their glasses, sealing a silent agreement that will change Russia's future. Putin then shares his next big move. He has secured a special license to export key resources from St. Petersburg. This allows him to trade cotton, timber, tobacco, and oil, giving him even more power and influence. Meanwhile, in a hidden camp, a group of radical Wahhabis is making plans. Their leader, Shamil Basayev, speaks of creating an Islamic state in the northern Caucasus, starting with an attack on Dagestan. Believing Russia will not stop them, they move forward with their mission. The next day, the news spreads rapidly. Chechen militants, led by Basayev, have launched a brutal assault on Dagestan. However, as more reports emerge, the true scale of the horror becomes clear. 64 people are dead, countless others wounded, and Russian soldiers trapped in the chaos. Another attack strikes a southern district of Moscow, where a 9-story apartment building explodes, killing 106 people, injuring 690, and destroying 108 apartments. The cause of the explosion remains unknown. Just days later, on September 13, 1999, a national mourning ceremony is held for the victims. But before the city can recover, another powerful explosion strikes at 5 a.m., this time destroying an 8-story building. The death toll rises. 124 more lives lost, with only 7 survivors. One after another, similar attacks shake different locations, leaving hundreds dead. Back in 1993, during a visit to Jerusalem, Samuel watches an old man savagely beat a young boy. Putin stands nearby, wanting to help but hesitating. Later, inside a church, he approaches a priest and asks to be baptized. The priest agrees, performing the ritual without hesitation. By 1999, Moscow is filled with tension. Yeltsin receives disturbing news. Some secrets are too dangerous to keep hidden. The next day, he does exactly what Putin suggests. By 2000, inside the Kremlin, Putin delivers a speech promising the public freedom of speech. Soon after, election results are announced. Putin has won and is now the president. After the ceremony, a general approaches him and speaks candidly. The explosions, he says, have left deep scars on the country. If the government truly wants to restore hope, they must go beyond merely controlling the media. At the Dubrovka Theater, a dramatic standoff unfolds. Legion orders soldiers to open fire, claiming that the people inside are enemy agents. When the dust settles, 40 terrorists, including female militants, are dead. The siege lasts 57 hours before Russian special forces finally storm the building, freeing the hostages. By 2004, news reporters openly discuss how Putin has total control over the government and how elections are being manipulated. Then, in a shocking moment, Putin himself walks in and tells them to continue talking as if he is not there. The journalists debate whether election rigging is an abuse of power, but no Russian politician would ever admit it. Putin listens in silence. Despite the controversy, the results are soon made public. Vladimir Putin has won with 71.2% of the votes, securing his position once again. Then, unexpectedly, Putin suffers a stroke. His aides rush to call an ambulance. As he fades in and out of consciousness, Samuel's voice whispers to him, asking if he has ever thought about what will happen when his successor learns the truth. In a darkened room, Samuel gives him a final warning. For every election, he must win by 100%. Anything less is unacceptable. During the Beslan school siege, Basayev's militants take over the building. Legion orders soldiers to rescue the youngest children, but the mission fails. By the time the crisis ends, 330 people, including many children, have lost their lives. Fast forward to 2014. Crimea falls under Russian control. In 2012, inside the Moscow Kremlin, Lyudmila walks into Putin's office and finds him with his assistant. She expects guilt or an apology, but he shows no emotion. Instead, he coldly tells her that she will be erased from history. Later, as he watches the news, Samuel warns him. He must never watch television again. From this moment on, he must cut off the internet, disconnect his computer, and shut out the outside world completely. By 2016, still under Samuel's control, Putin orders a complete rewrite of the federal constitution. Another election is held, and as expected, Putin wins once again. Inside a dimly lit chamber, Samuel watches him closely. The burden of power is weighing on Putin, and Samuel whispers that he should rest. He will take control from here. Meanwhile, inside a church, a priest speaks to a group of children. His voice is solemn as he warns them. The Antichrist is coming, and many like him have already begun to appear. He tells them that those who do not belong will soon be cast out. Their fate is sealed long ago. Jump to 2022 in Ukraine. In Mariupol, soldiers march into a park where children are playing, following Samuel's orders. Legion watches from the shadows, horrified. He demands to know why Samuel has taken things this far. But Samuel is no longer just an evil whisper. He has become something far worse. In his twisted mind, there are no limits. The destruction continues, and entire buildings collapse under the weight of relentless attacks. That same year, war erupts in Bucha, leaving a trail of destruction. Inside his chamber, Putin suddenly regains consciousness, realizing he has been a mere puppet in Samuel's hands. Every decision, every act of destruction, none of it is truly his own. Samuel looks at him and smirks, telling him that the call for global war is not even his decision. It is made by something far greater than both of them. The final scenes are haunting. Legion stands on the ashes of a city in ruins, staring at the burnt remains of children's stuffed toys, scattered like forgotten memories. The sky glows red as fires consume what's left of civilization. By 2026, at the Central Clinical Hospital in Moscow, a general tells Putin about a new campaign called Warrior of Peace. He claims Ukrainians are practicing dark magic, twisting the war into a battle against demonic forces. The war intensifies, missiles rain down on civilians, and the world watches in horror. Back inside the chamber, Samuel whispers to Putin, telling him to rest. There is no need for him to stay conscious anymore. Suddenly, the doctors notice something alarming. The concentrator has stopped working. A silence fills the room. Vladimir Putin is dead. And so, the story of Putin 2025 comes to a chilling end. Is he ever truly in control, or just a pawn in a greater, unseen game? What do you think? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoy this recap, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more exciting movie breakdowns. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. See you in the next one.